Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the first episode of Face Liberty in Praxis on this time again on Jose's channel. So Jose, how you doing?
Doing all right yourself? It was nice
Doing
to see you
good.
briefly at Tom Woods 2000. That was cool.
Yeah, that was. I've never been day drunk before, and so that evening was just weird for me.
You've never been day drunk? What the hell's wrong with you?
I'm 23. Just started
Oh,
drinking.
okay.
So
I don't know. Day.
yeah,
One day you'll get a few acres. There's nothing better than you know, your day off and it's time to go mow your giant ass lawn and like let's get hammered. That's fun.
that
So
sounds fun.
yeah,
That
I've fucked up my mower a couple times, getting a little too tipsy. So yeah.
that was a fun event because I went to that burger place that was in there, made my burger, drinking my beer, see the time, and just fucking leave and didn't pay for anything.
Yeah.
Just walked out. I got an email like, "You never paid for your meal, sir." I was like, "Oh shit."
Oh yeah, no, we had a blast. I only saw you briefly. I mean, you know that, but just for the listeners. But yeah, I had a blast. I didn't watch any of the Tom Woods thing. I figured, I could probably watch this later. Get to meet all my internet friends and Tower Gang assembled for the first time there. That was cool. It was a lot of fun. I definitely that was probably the most fun I've had this year.
Nice.
These Liberty events. I don't know. They're catchy. I mean, so yeah.
Okay, I'm planning to go to the was it Soderbergh? That's one. I'm gonna go to that
Yeah,
one.
yeah.
Before.
I'll be honest. I have no intent on going anywhere other than like stuff in Florida. So
Hmm.
because
Well,
I'm a homebody, but the
I've
wife
only left
gets
the state like 8 times maybe. I've
yeah,
never been east or west. I've only ever been north, like Indiana and back. That's about it.
yeah. You're a
So
Florida guy too, right?
yep, born and
Yeah, yeah,
raised.
yeah. Cool.
So well, I want to see Texas. Want to see other places.
Yeah,
Really just Texas and Florida. That's really the only places I care to see now.
yeah.
But,
Well,
so what? Okay, is Talgate actually going on Tim Pool? So I keep hearing
uh,
about that. Is that actually
that's
happening?
yeah. There was a while back. There was the I can't remember. I'm trying to remember exactly how it went down. God, she said, you go. Oh, they briefly mentioned us on Tim Pool because they had who did they have? I think they had Alex Jones and Phil Labonte, I believe, was
Hmm.
the two. And I don't remember what they were talking about because Shu was supposed to come on, I guess, and Shu's been on our show. And God, now the echo's back, or now the echo did come up. We were dealing with audio. Now we do have an echo, but oh, it's gone, so we're good. I don't know I don't know if you moved and it magically fixed the echo, but yeah, no, we had Shu on our show, and someone I guess commented like a super chat like, "Oh, that's crazy! Like she won't go on there, but she'll go on Tower Gang." And then Phil kind of because he hadn't been on that point, he's been on now, but he was aware of us and he like mentioned who they were because
Hmm.
Tim's like, I don't know who that is. And then I think Fat Dave said some shit like I don't remember what it was in response to, but was like said something to I think Sour Patch Lids or whatever. And they said I wish I could remember the exact how it went down. I feel like an idiot. I guarantee you, Fat Dave knows it by heart.
Hmm.
Um, God, we get a low whirring again. I don't know. Did you put your headphones back on? Did you accidentally
No,
turn them on?
no,
I
that's
don't know what
still
is
about
going.
it off.
Sounds like a printer going or something.
I'm no, it could be this. Hold on.
Yeah.
Okay, how's that?
You made it worse.
I didn't know how. I guess I'll turn it back on.
Yeah. Oh, whatever's going on is better now.
What the fuck?
Yeah, I don't know. But anyways, yeah, no. Then she said something along the lines of like, "Oh, but you guys can come on the show at some point." And then at that point, I think Clint started messaging her and stuff because so she basically invited us on Sour Patch Lids, which she's the one who kind of handles the booking and stuff.
Mhm.
And and then Clint kind of got in the DMs and stuff because he's been on before. And from there, they've been talking. I guess the thing was they were gonna wait until they got the new studio. They have the new studio now, and I was just watching Clint's newest episode with Sour Patch Lids on there.
Mhm.
Can't remember her actual name. I feel like an idiot, but I just know that's her Twitter name. And I guess he we were talking in the group chat, and he was saying that they brought it up in there, and I guess it was something to do with like maybe expenses. I don't know. It looks. I think it'll still happen because I didn't realize. I guess Tim Pool flies or the Timcast, they'll fly people that are guests up there. I didn't even realize that.
Wow,
So I
that's
assumed you just had to go on your own, like, you know what I mean, like
Yeah.
for the opportunity. I mean, I don't know. I've never been to this level of professional type podcasting, but I guess they fly them up, and I guess I haven't gone there yet, so I don't know specifically what they said. But he was saying in the group chat that something along the lines that they may have concerns about expenses, and I'm like, I mean, obviously, if they're gonna pay for my flight, I'm not gonna say no. But at the end of the day, I will literally go there. If that's the sticking point, you know, paying for it, I will fucking go. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, but yes, it's totally. I mean, I guess I can't say 100% it's happening, but I would say like 95+% it's happening, which is fucking wild.
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, we're gonna have to turn off the pee pee poo poo and just do big brain time for that
Well,
one. Yeah.
It's gonna be like, Tim is so cautious of like talking about like so Pete was on a show. Pete mentioned ivermectin. Tim was like, "Whoa, hold on, do your doctor prescribe it?" He's so cautious of getting his channel taken out with this completely fail. I can't see Tower Gang in that environment. He's gonna be on the toes, like, "Well, hold on, guys, hold on." It's just.
I think you'd be surprised. I mean, I guess he has an after hours type thing or something like that. So
I'll have to pay for that because that's gonna be hilarious.
yeah. So I'm sure we'll mix it up, be a little more fun there. I mean, even then, it probably won't be to the normal antics of Tower Gang. But I mean, we're totally capable of doing dialing back the pee pee poo poo and just going big brain time. Like for example, the two main guys of Tower Gang, like the like, I don't know if I'd necessarily say the head guys, but they're ones who basically run it all, and the rest of us just kind of show up in and out, you know, when we can. But like Toad and Fat Dave, they've been on. I remember they were on Chrissy Mayer's show before, which I don't know if you're aware, if you know who she is. And they were on with Carol Roth. I believe she's a Gas Digital person. I might be wrong, but she's kind of biggish. I mean, she's pretty cool. But they were on there, and it's a little more serious. And they were serious the whole time and fine. And I think they've been on a few other shows that are more serious. We're totally capable of doing it. I mean, people see my show. I mean, I'm kind of like I'm a little bit more laid back, I guess. I wouldn't say I am exactly like part of the problem normally, but like that's kind of the vibe to like where I usually touch on serious topics, but I don't have any problem, you know, letting a fuck fly here and there, or like, you know, being a little crude. But so I'm capable of being serious. I mean, it will be a little hard to dial it back. I was thinking too, because we're about to cover, for those who aren't aware or don't read the title, we're about to do a live reading of an Agorist primer. And I was curious, like, is that going to be an issue? Like in my head, I was kind of running through today while I was working, like, would that be an issue? Because essentially what agorism is to some extent is like advocating for doing illegal shit. So it's like, I'm sure we'll probably go into philosophy and stuff, and I will be the guy to be like, yeah, you should just do illegal shit. And it's like,
just break the law.
Like, is that going to be an issue? I don't know. I mean, apparently, I guess I think Clint's even said on his show before that like before they do it, they'll give you like a long list of stuff that like, this is what you got to do. Like, you can't break these rules. So I don't know. It'd be interesting. I don't know. I mean, it'd be something I'd be super excited to do. I'd like to see if I can't get Tim to, I mean, if I'll try to work my grift if that does happen to get Tim to do one of my Eric's Handbook episodes.
Oh, that'd be great.
I know he's doing the reading for, I wish I could remember which one it is, but he's one of the lefties. I know that because that's the biggest issue I've been having with this is my circle doesn't really include left anarchists too much.
Yeah.
So it's like and even then the few that I do know aren't like huge theory guys. So I'm like, I don't know, like, I don't really know any guys that are like big into theory that are left anarchists that I can get to do those episodes. So like, and Tim Pool would obviously be awesome to have it. I mean, even though he's not like super deep theory guy, but it would be cool to have him do, you know, the same one he's doing the audiobook for to do the podcast version for. So cool. It would definitely be a great opportunity. I never thought, you know, saying the N-word would get us this far, you know.
and it's kind of funny because like towering the N-word on Sats, and it's like, well, what that gets you? Pool.
Yeah, no, it's funny, and we get so many haters too that think it's just some grift, and like, I mean, not really. It's literally just we were literally started as a group chat. They were like, hey, we're just homies that have fun conversations. And like, you know, and a few of us already had podcasts. And like, we should have like a group podcast where we just kind of have like a more like a chilling with the boys type vibe. And it took off. So, I mean, whatever. I mean, you can be mad. I don't really care. Be mad, salty bitches. I don't really give a shit. Like, whatever. If that's a grift to you, I don't really care. Whatever. We're just having fun. So we'll keep on doing it as long as we can. So, yeah.
Not a grift. I was listening to Curtis Yarvin. and he was doing a podcast, and the guy's like, you wrote all this great stuff. It's like it's all terrible, it all sucked, no one wants to read it, but it was great. No, I'm trying to write a book now. I got to grift it. And he just started basting his own work. Said no one wants to read it. My new stuff's gonna be way better.
Yeah.
Got to grift. So let's get into it. An Agorist primer. I've done a book club on it with Saudi Agorist, which was a lot of fun. And now I'm gonna do a live reading.
Yeah, which I do want to say real quick. I believe the order in which these books came out was a Libertarian Manifesto and then this. And a lot of people, I've talked to a lot of people, and a lot of people say you need to read a Libertarian Manifesto first, or a new Libertarian Manifesto first. And I don't necessarily agree. I mean, it's been a while since I've read these, but from what I recall, I actually kind of like the inverse because from what I recall, New Libertarian Manifesto goes more into like kind of like revisionist history and like, you know, his idea of like the phases of like how agorism will like, you know, supposedly bring about a free world or whatever. And Agorist Primer more covers the basics. So for me, it's like I kind of like. I mean, that would make sense to go first and then the other. Yeah. But I mean, whatever. I actually found this one to be more enjoyable, although I like both of them. So
I definitely. I like the other one. It was fun, but this one I thought actually, like that one I feel like gave you like his strategy was spelled out, but this one actually gave you like, I don't know, a praxis. You know, it's like this is what you need to be doing. So
no, it's great stuff. Yeah.
So I'm not a full-blown agorist either. So anybody wondering, I'm sort of paleo, working local. I'm actually going to be meeting with my city council and city attorney sometime next week to try to get some laws repealed. So that's gonna be a lot of fun.
Yeah. Are you one of those filthy praxians?
Absolutely. I have had most of them on my podcast, and I talked to most of them. And like I put Prax in my bio. That's about it. But I love everybody in that group.
Yeah, I'm very Praxian friendly. I mean, I don't get me wrong. I have some hesitations, but like essentially the way I see it at their core, they're pushing Konkin and Hoppa, which like I don't. I'm more of an agorist, and I think I'm more of the opinion that that's the better way to go. But if I'm of the opinion, if you really feel like you absolutely need to go the political route for whatever reason, Hoppa is the most preferable route to go. Yeah. And so for me, Praxians is kind of like a perfect fit. Like I'm not saying people should go that route, but like it's kind of like I don't mind. I mean, there's probably some little minutia around the edges I could find to complain about like some of the post-libertarians, but I'm very friendly to the concept. I like it. I like what they're pushing to some extent. So
yeah, my view is the like Hoppa Konkin route is like, yeah, it'd be great if more people go on Konkin route, but it's so many people you have to like convince by accent, you know. Well, with this accent, like for example, in Balto, it's illegal to sell booze on Sunday. You can't sell any booze any liquor on Sunday, and no beer or wine after 12. If I wanted to say Agorist way around that, I'd have to buy it Saturday, sell it Sunday, or convince them to go sell it. Yeah. Where after 4 emails and a meeting, I might get that repealed, and they'll just do it anyway. You know, and I just made it easier for Agorists to do that thing. And so I want my goal is make things easier for the Agorists. Which is
no, and the funny thing is too, I think they weirdly in a way kind of mirror each other. Like I feel like in effect what happens from both of them, like essentially to me personally, the Hoppian route is essentially agorism but with politics. Like adding that in. So like essentially what it creates. Like you're kind of carving out areas of liberty. And that's kind of what agorism is. That's what Hoppian is. And it's funny that these two factions are actually most known for being at odds. I actually don't see it that way, but I had a whole episode on this with Jared from End Democracy or from Hoppian.org or whatever, and it's funny. We kind of talked about that, and I totally get the critiques that a lot of them come at with agorists because they kind of a lot of it's like the social stuff they get at, and I kind of get it because I'm sure we'll touch on in here that he does. Konkin is known for describing himself as a left libertarian, and I think sometimes it's one of those things where it's like. He wasn't meaning it in the way that people mean left now, but the problem is it's kind of now people mean left in a certain way, and it almost is this weird self-fulfilling prophecy where like if you like say you know people find out about agorism and they're like, oh yeah, it's left libertarianism, and then it naturally attracts left libertarians because they think that's what it is, and it kind of then becomes that way, which I guess that's kind of like what the conquest law or where the fuck it is, you know, to some extent. So I don't know. But yeah, we're kind of droning on enough. But I guess let's get in the book.
Let's get to it. I'll start with the introduction, and bear with me. My reading voice is worse than my actual voice. Agorism can be defined simply It is sought and acting consistent with freedom. The moment one deals with thinking, acting consistently, and especially freedom, things get more and more complex. I feel like I missed the word in there somewhere.
No, I think you got them all.
Okay. Castle. I can't even read that. Hold on to the virtue of consistency, the refusal to compromise and deceive oneself to sell out or to be realistic. Created algorithm consider being realistic. This usually implies that theory is fine for the thinking, but in practice, one must deal with reality. Algorists believe that any theory which does not describe reality is a useless or a deliberate attempt by intellectuals to defraud non-specialists. I want to talk about
Yeah,
that a little bit.
yeah, I
This is
know. I was about to stop you too. Yeah, go ahead. You.
there's nothing I hate more than the whole one you seriously work in reality. Like I don't deal with people who don't live in reality. Like I have a friend, I was talking about politics. He said the only thing is politics that's the problem is all this money in politics. We gotta get money out of politics. And I'm like, I want to get started out of the ocean. It's like you're not talking about reality here.
Yeah.
It's you missing an ad or
Yeah, no, it's this. There's been this talking point, and I get what people are getting at as of late, but it comes off as conceding. It kind of comes off as like, oh, well, let's be realistic, or oh, in theory, or whatever, or like that kind of like talking points. It's like you don't need to. If you're in this position to where you're like having to anyway concede, be like, oh, well, in theory, or whatever, or like be like, let's be practical. It's like, well, then maybe either your theory sucks or you're looking at it in the wrong way. Because if your theory doesn't work in reality, you have a shit theory. Because that's the whole point of theory, is to, kind of describe reality. And yeah, it's what is it? A Sterner quote I like to use a lot is God, your principles should serve you. You shouldn't serve your principles. So it's kind of the same idea. It's like if your principles aren't working to your ends or to the ends of liberty, then it's like, well, maybe your principles suck. And you need to find a principle that applies. So
yeah. That's basically what's going on right now on Twitter. I mean, the whole nap debate and everything. It's yeah, the whole libertarian principles thing. It's like I think libertarian principles can get you somewhere. I think people don't actually know what libertarian principles at this point.
Yeah,
they don't know it, and it's frustrating. I don't know it either, but
we're getting there.
When someone urges you to be realistic, may you pick an Agorist book to get the best description you can find on how algorithm actually works. If you want to find books and articles that will fake reality for wishes, whims, fears, and spite, look for labels such as liberal, conservative, socialist, communist, fascist, or worst of all, middle of the road and moderate. Yeah, that's.
I like this next line. You go ahead.
Reality knows no moderation. It is. I like that.
All the way. Yeah.
Kind of reminds me of that Sterner quote. It was like, not Sterner. It was like, but might. It's like might is right. Like, might is, right?
Yeah.
I like that.
I don't know who that was. I mean, that is definitely derived from Sterner, but
attitude,
I don't know if Sterner said that himself. That sounds like something somebody riffed off of it. Yeah, no, I like that though. It is very much the whole idea of like, I like to rip on centrists, where it's like, okay, like what do you mean? Oh, well, no, we just need to have less of this. We need to have a compromise. It's like, no, like, I mean, maybe in certain aspects of life, but yeah, I mean, is it or is it not? Like, what are we talking about here? Like, you need some principles essentially to some extent. So, yeah.
Agreed. All the way one way of thinking came close to algorithm, and is fairly well known today. We will deal with libertarianism later in some detail. An ideology of liberty. It had to choose at one point between consistency with reality and being the politics of liberty. It chose the latter, the contradiction of speaking political power over others to eliminate political power over others. That's basically all the post-libs early critiques of Mises Caucus. It's like, you don't need national politics, and we're going to want national politics to tell you don't need national politics.
Yeah, which I know people will make and do like these backflips about like theory and like how it apply, like how it's not inconsistent or whatever, but it's like at the very least it comes off as odd. Like, so it kind of dilutes the message. And this is kind of where I've got it before with, kind of like to talk about like the post-libertarian stuff. It's like, at least like if you're gonna go like the conservative route or the political route, like at least like I guess to some extent you're doing it, but not you're not I don't know have to do it under the banner of the Libertarian Party kind of dilutes what libertarianism is.
Yeah.
So like I mean I don't know like it's kind of this middling nonsense essentially, but like yeah that's all I really got to say on that. So
one of my yes, you said I wanted to add on, but I forgot what it was exactly. Let's see if I find it. Yeah, one thing when it comes to like people speaking in political realities, it's like from the libertarian side, it's like yes, libertarian third party candidates are not the reason your guy lost. That is truthful. It does not matter anymore. It's like you can have all the truth on your side, but these people who actually vote and you have to get convinced, they don't care about that. You know, you can be completely right and make no impact on them. They can't. Some libertarians can't accept that. Everyone's logical. It's a marketplace of ideas. It doesn't exist.
Oh yeah, I agree. And the marketplace of ideas is to some extent it's true, but it's also like people look at the marketplace of ideas thing and they look at it in like a vacuum as if, oh, the only factor here is the strength of your argument or the strength of the idea. It's like, no, there's a million other factors that come into play. Like there's deception, there's all sorts of things. I mean, like that's Edward Bernays' propaganda essentially, which I mean that would be another good one for you to probably cover one of these days. That's a great one.
Right now I'm trying to go to Zakuno's propaganda. He's an early Christian anarchist, wrote against technology. Interesting guy. Okay, where was I?
Those who continued
to seek liberty consistently and without the practical contradiction of libertarians become agorists. This is second historical definition for you. Agorism is an ideology, then, but it is also a scientific and definitively materialist way of thinking. It is not a religious view, save that it believes absolute freedom to be more, nor does it wish to displace anyone's religious views, unless they lead to slavery. Agorism wants no true believers in the sense of blind followers, like any scientifically based mode of thought. It will evolve, as does all understanding of reality. It kind of reminds me of like objectivism a little bit, you know? It's kind of like a very...
Yeah. It's a lot of parallels there. Yeah.
Yeah. It's so many things like objectivism can line up with, so it'd be great. And they're so... They can't bend the knee or break a little bit from one thing to mix with other stuff. And it's just so... It's dead. It's ended. It's a closed loop. It's nothing new. And that's why it's kind of sad, because there's a lot there to offer, but...
Yeah. I did want to touch on it. It says agorism is ideology, which is key, because... I mean, it's a little bit of a stupid point for me to even bring up, because it's almost just this like autism type thing where it like bugs me. But there's a common thing people say all the time where they'll be like, because there's a difference between agorism and counter economics, which we'll get into. Like counter economics is a key component of agorism, but agorism is the ideology as a whole. And that's why I was getting, I agree with you with the objectivism thing, because I think if you were going to define, like say with objectivism, how do you define objectivism? What is objectivism? It's that which Ayn Rand is the one who created it. So it's only fair that she gets to define it. I mean, yes, we can get to the point of like, you know, you can define words however you want because words are subjective. But at the end of the day, if we're going to be fair, I think you're going to say objectivism is that which Ayn Rand defined objectivism as, because she is the one who created it. And the same thing goes for Konkin. So basically, I mean, obviously within like we'll get at some point we'll get through this whole book, but you know, Konkin lays out in here what he sees agorism as. And so, like, there may be areas which aren't sharply defined, and so there might be able to be disagreements along the edge. But if we're going to be, you know, going to be consistent with, like, what he said, there are certain things that you're like, this is agorism and this is not. So whether you like it or not, it's so my point I'm getting is a lot of people, like, be like, hey, why don't we do politics? Why can't you do politics and agorism? Because it's like, you're talking about counter economics. Agorism is ideology as a whole that Konkin defined. So you cannot do agorism in politics, because we'll get into it later, but he explicitly says no to that. Like, that is not agorism. And I'm not even saying that, like, I get it. There are people who are like politically involved and like to call them agorists, and I'm not even saying that in a bad way. If you want to define yourself as that, that's fine. But at the end of the day, know in your deepest, darkest autism part of your brain That's not true, and that's fine. I mean,
Yeah.
it is what it is. Just, but it's just one of those spurg moments for me. And we're like, but you're kind of not. Like,
Yeah. Oh,
you're practicing counter economics. You're not technically an agorist. Which, I mean, and I'm not even saying that to be mean. I'm just saying, like, technically, like,
Yeah.
that's what that is. So, and I think that's key to understanding what it is, because it's like, especially people are really like, I don't know. They're just I see so much autism online. I generally don't engage. I have occasionally once or twice, but I generally don't get into it, because then you just look like this. Like, I'm not even arguing like consistency. I'm just arguing definitions when I get it. Like, I'm saying,
but all it does, it looks
no,
like purism. It's
yeah,
like you're not a weird one. I'm the weird one. It's
yeah. Like, I'm not even advocating when we're there. I'm just saying, technically speaking, if we're going by definitions, no,
yeah.
that's
So,
why.
Wan was like the exact same way. If you didn't accept objectivism as a totality, he didn't want you in a group.
Yeah, exactly.
If you had one disagreement, you were out. And it's like
yeah.
There's a benefit to that, I think, but also there's so many downsides to it. I'm still not sure if I agree with Sora's stance on that or not. Because I think if objectivism was open ended and it was incorporating other things, like I've incorporated a lot of objectivism into Catholicism. There's a lot of things there that Matt's. And he turned to an objectivist, and they freaked the fuck out.
I'm kind of a fan of it, because I know I did an episode forever ago with Ace and Pops, and we were talking about like thick and thin libertarianism, and we kind of all agreed that what we want is like, I mean, yes, libertarianism is thin, like at its core, but I think everyone should find their thick libertarian, where it's like, this is my thing, and like, because then you end up kind of having these, I don't know, separate, factions, and not even necessarily separate. We can kind of work together, but I don't know, it kind of allows essentially, a marketplace of ideas, essentially. I mean, not necessarily, but it kind of allows people to have, I don't know, I forget how we put it, but I don't know, I kind of like it, but I mean, you do also have to kind of not go too crazy with it. I guess you are kind of
I'm a libertarian socialist.
Yes. I don't know. I don't necessarily disagree with it, because there is the issue when you do only thin libertarianism, where it's defined as anything. This is one of the big things. Not to keep it bringing the post, but that's kind of, they're what's hot right now, But if you go too thin, that's why you get into like nonsense. Like, if you just define anything as long as you don't hurt each other or whatever, it's all good. Whatever. Like, I don't know. You kind of get into wishy-washy nonsense that, and then you get into like, oh, well, I define the NAP this way, I define it that way. It's kind of good that we have these agorists, that we have Hoppians, that we have post-libertarians, that we have the Rothbardians, that we have. I'm a fan of that. That way you can kind of take notes from everybody, instead of being this wishy-washy fucking let's all be friends. I'm not saying we shouldn't all be friends, but you just kind of get into this amorphous blob of an ideology, essentially.
Yes. And an ideology, like, there are benefits to having, like, you can't narrow it down, because then you can't like attack it all like it's a whole. But at the same time, it's hard to sell someone that's not a whole,
Yeah.
So let's see, where were we? Here we go. It will evolve as our understanding of reality. One who has faith in something proven false that was once a tenet of agorism is not an agorist. Reality is our standard. Nature is our lawgiver. In a general sense, agorism is scientific in that it bases itself on verifiable observations about reality. But it is scientific in a specific sense as well. It may be hard for a chemist, physicist, engineer to believe that a hard science was ever developed in fields of economics and political science, but the discovery of this science by me, a hard-bitten theoretical chemist, cynical of soft science, led eventually true libertarianism to agorism. I didn't know he was a chemist.
I forgot about it too, to be honest.
I don't know why, but I'm picturing his face, and that's kind of how like I picture someone walking in the lab kind of looks like.
You saying he looks like a nerd?
He does. He looks so fucking weird.
He looks like a fat nerd.
I can't imagine. Every image in my mind, I added he's holding a piece of pizza, and every image I can imagine him of. He's like, so here's what you gotta do while he's eating his pizza. The study of human action. I can never say that word. Praxology. Produce some repeatable observations discerning the title of scientific law, the area of human action dealing with exchange between acting humans. What was that?
Yeah, I don't blame you on that one. That catalactics, I think. I don't know. That's a weird word.
Calisthenics.
I gotta read that. If this area of study appeals to you, by all means, go to source human action. Oh shit! I thought he was gonna actually describe what it is. I'll be honest. I don't know what the fuck catalactics is. I haven't gone that deep. I guess this is some Mises thing. I'll be honest. I haven't read enough. I haven't read much Mises.
Yeah, I'm working my way through Mises now, but I haven't got to that yet.
Yeah.
Oh, well, covers the same area of thought that economics is supposed to cover, but often with very different conclusions. This kind of economics, sometimes called Austrian economics, was used by speculators such as Harry Brown and Doug Casey for investing in hard money instruments, beating taxes, and surviving when society around them is operating on unreason and folly. It is that potent a tool for survival amidst gloom and doom. I mean, that's a fair point. I think.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. I like that last line. It's a tool for survival amidst doom and gloom. But go on. Yeah. Sorry. I don't. You can't keep going off every little tangent and going on thing because we're still in the introduction.
Oh my god! It's been 30 minutes and we're still only like 4 pages in. This is gonna be a long series. Where was I? However, it can be more by applying its economic understanding to all human action, regardless of the wishes, whims, fears, in spite of the most powerful agency in society, the state, coercive government. A new theater theory dealing only with practical action emerges, counter-economics. Finally, when libertarian theory meets counter-economics, what comes out in strict consistency, both external and internal, is agorism. This is still another definition. And the definition was, excuse me, what I feel most comfortable, the one that receives of the intellect find hardest to pervert or steal, agorism. Is a consistent integration of libertarian theory with counter-economics practice. An agorist is one who acts consistently for freedom and in freedom. A basic understanding of agorism falls naturally into 4 phases of integration or 4 steps of learning. In addition to grasping the premises involved, once you be able to apply them, remember always that agorism integrates theory and practice. Theory without practice is gameplay and taken seriously. That's a good line.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, really, even if you're not an agorist, that's kind of one thing I've been getting at. And I think that's a lesson a lot of us are learning through 2020. Really, I feel like that's a consistent lesson. A lot of them, even the people who are still operating the LP and stuff like that, is that, praxis. Like, you need to have a praxis. Like,
I mean, I relate to myself. Praxis.
Yeah, that's why so many people are getting into agorism. Even the people who are like, people who are saying like, like even people who are still operating in the political, arena, there's still a lot of them are advocating for. Okay, I actually just made the same mistake that I talked about earlier, saying agorism, but I mean counter economics, because a lot of people are understanding like we need to do something.
Yeah.
But yeah,
you have to be autonomous in some sense now. Like if you're not working on being autonomous, you're fucked.
Yes.
What was I?
Theory without practice is game playing.
Oh, I lost my page. Yeah. Theory without practice is game playing. Taken seriously, it leads to withdrawal from reality, mysticism, and insanity. Practice without theory is robotic. Taken seriously, it leads to tilling barren soil and sowing up for work at closed factories. Perhaps it would help to think of theory has wedded to practice, where divorce leads to ruin. Or the relationship could be viewed as that between brain and stomach or mind and body. Neither can survive without the other. So 4 concepts and 4 applications leads it naturally to 8 chapters. The author and publisher welcome your questions because they will indicate where we can clarify and improve subsequent editions. And that's the introduction. Do you have anything you want to add to any of that?
No, I think that stands on its own. I don't have much to add to that one. You want to try to knock out the next chapter?
Let's go for it.
All right. If you want, I'll read this chapter.
Go ahead.
Economics is a dismal science. Those understanding certain economic concepts profit flamboyantly. Economics is a tool corporations and governments use to control society. Those understanding economic concepts have toppled governments that refuse to face the very same concepts. Economics is a meaningless college exercise. Speculators understanding economics make millions of dollars and save others from financial ruin. Here's our problem. All the above statements are true. I don't know if you have anything to add to that. There's a lot
that
there.
One kind of threw me for a loop.
Yeah. Yeah, right? They seem inconsistent, but yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. I'm going to school now to try to get a degree in economics. And the more I think about it, the more I'm like, what am I really doing with that? It's like colleges are going online. So, it's not like there's going to be a lot of jobs available. I'm like, might I just go into school for 4 to 5 years or just to learn something fun? Like that just seems like a waste of time. But I don't know.
Yeah,
It's
every one of those sentences is a whole good like 20-minute conversation, So
this is a fantastic book.
yeah.
Anyone listening, again, if you're listening to Jose say you probably own it or have already read it, but read it again. It's worth it.
Yeah, and like I know we're taking a long time on like the introduction and the chapter, so it may make it seem like it's longer than it is, but this is literally a book you can knock out in a day. And I'm a slow reader, so I want to say both of these books, like New Libertarian Manifesto. Yeah, you go ahead and open it. I mean, let me see, like, look, let me see if I can get a good look how big those. Oh, I can't get it. I don't have a good focus.
Let's see if I can get it.
I was trying to show. Yeah, there you go. You can see how big those words are. Like that's just 2 paragraphs on the whole page. Like these are things you can cruise through easily. Like I'm a slow reader, and I want to say I don't think I spent more than 3 days on either of the books of New Libertarian Manifesto or Agorist or an Agorist primer. So yeah. Thank you, Bonghorn Langhord. I feel like the commentary is worth the extra time. Thank you. If that makes you think there's an inconsistency in the use of economics, you are correct. With a lowercase e, economics is a study of relations between people involving goods and services. With a capital E, economics is an institution financed mostly by governments and its tax-privileged foundations. With foundation money, this institution controls, however imperfectly, those who would learn and teach economics at government schools or private colleges. We're getting that ringing again, by the way. I don't know if you want to try to mute until you have something to say. That way it doesn't drive.
I think I would do that.
Yeah, there you go. And just unmute when you got something to say. Maybe this appears to be a big deal made out of little. After all, is not most of chemistry and astronomy and mathematics also institutionalized? Imagine the case where only pro-government chemistry, conservative astronomy, or socialist biology was taught, and those who tried to teach straight science were vilified as crackpots. Fantastic. Lysenko's pseudobiology was taught in the Soviet Union because it was more in line with Marxist theory than with straight genetics. Currently, man-made global warming is approaching the status of state-approved climatology, with the center shouted down, defunded, smeared as apologists for polluters, and even threatened with the rescission of their academic degrees. Yeah, there's a lot there. I don't know if you have anything to add to that
like even the guy who founded the Wizard Channel, like those apps and network, he's not allowed to see it anymore. Like it's going crazy.
Yeah.
It's like I talk to my friends who are like all these. I have a lot of friends who are like God college, get into they all have like master's and bachelor degrees, and I bring up like the political station of colleges, and they're like, no, it's just pure academic studies. I'm like, it's fucking not. It's not.
All right. Yeah, perhaps you will grant that government can use its control of schools and colleges to teach a twisted version of economics. Could then better economics be taught if government were improved? The answer is not a chance. As you will see in Chapter 6, if people understood economics, coercive government could not survive. An uncoercive government is a contradiction in terms. So that's a pretty good one. If you have anything to add to that one, I mean,
no, I think he spells it out right there. It's definitely the.
Yeah, I mean, we can totally play back to Anatomy of State, because in Anatomy of State they go into how the intelligentsia is like basically an arm of the state. So it makes sense when you're learning economics from them. It's like, I mean, what kind of economics you're gonna be learning? Like, so I mean, they're obviously not going to prop up correct economics. That's going to lead to the downfall, because if you understand economics, I mean, economics is everything, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah.
I think you legitimately can break down everything into economic terms. So
yes.
It's just man action. I mean, maybe you could say maybe like the spiritual realm isn't, but even then, I'm sure some autists could make some sort of argument to like even that is somehow economic.
One of the best Catholic books ever was Tom Wood's Search in the Market, where he applies Austrian economics and social teachings in some ways. It's fantastic. When it comes to intellectuals in the state, like Anatomy of the State and Hopper's Intellectuals and Intellectuals and Elites in Society, very short article, all great. Like, intellectual class is the reason a lot of people believe in the state. It used to be the church, and now it's the intellectual class, and it's very important that we get this.
Yeah, no, Hopper really is one of the ones that like everything he touches is fucking gold.
Yeah, I can't read enough Hopper.
Yeah,
I got every book he ever wrote. Myself.
And then the Konkin, like Konkin's kind of the same way in my opinion. Like I love his work, but the problem is just had so little of it. I mean, I don't remember how old he died, but he died pretty young. So it's like I mean, not young. I don't know, but he definitely had a lot of time left, and he definitely had more books to write. And it's definitely a downer that he fucking died so early.
Yeah.
So, what we wish to accomplish in this chapter is simply to give you a basic understanding of real economics. No, this is not just to help explain the rest of this book with even an elementary understanding of economics. Fewer con games can defraud you, especially the high stakes political kind. Let us start with why people act economically. Value. Right down here, there at the very bottom, we begin. Human beings act. Human action. There you go. Why? Ludwig von Mises said it best: to remove felt unease. If you were perfectly content, nothing and no one nagging at you, and you knew that if you did nothing, you could continue to be content, would you move? There's a good Ron Swanson quote that's like, if people get the choice to do something or nothing, they'll always choose nothing. That kind of applies here. Remember, moving from this state will increase unhappiness. Of course you wouldn't move. Even if you said you would move to relieve boredom, you'd be violating the hypothesis. You'd be more bored by moving, since that is an increase in unhappiness. Which I love how he frames it here, because it's very much like it brings it back to economics is everything. Like everything is human action, and everything is like it's just what incentivizes human beings to do things. Value is subjective, so on and so forth. So Aha. Did you have something to add? I thought I heard you.
No, I just he summed up the beginning of human action so well. It's like
Yeah.
I've been trying to read human action like 3 times now. He sums it up so succinctly. It's incredible.
Yeah. Aha. Is that not a contradiction? You rightfully ask. Correct. And if an assumption leads you to a contradiction, it is wrong. Our assumption was that you could achieve a state of ease. Therefore, such a human condition is impossible. In reality, man always has reason to feel unease, to feed himself, clothe himself, shelter himself, reproduce and feed, shelter, and clothe others, amuse himself, and so on. Unease cannot be eliminated. It can, however, be reduced. It can also, unfortunately, be augmented. I do think I want to touch on unease cannot be eliminated. I want to say real quick, I feel like that kind of gets at the whole like magic silver bullet aspect of any theory or anything. Like we're not getting at that like a magical utopia. There will never be a utopia ever.
Yeah.
But there can always be preferable modes of existence, and that's kind of what he's getting there. So
Hoppus built it out in a series of socialism and capitalism. Even the Garden of Eden, you would need property ownership, and there would still be conflict.
Yeah.
So you can't escape it.
Mm-hmm. If you seek to starve yourself or bore yourself, you increase your unease. Some actions you perform achieve negative goals. Some achieve positive ones. Those which remove felt unease are values. I like that. He's just describing value as that which removes unease. So it's that which improves your condition in some method or in some mode or whatever. If someone has something that will remove your unease, but taking it will increase theirs, we have a conflict in values. This conflict in values need not arise from direct confrontation. Suppose you and another are offered a scrumptious dessert and the other is dieting desperately. You value it, the other disvalues it. Value is subjective. I mean, I like how he brought up to dieting. Like, for some people, if you're a fat ass and you're not really trying to, you just want to, that's your inherent subjective value is you want to eat more, you're going to eat more. And if you're someone who's trying to, improve yourself, that's your value. Value is subjective. The simple insight made by Karl Menger, the teacher of von Mises, revolutionized primitive economics and cured many of the problems plaguing the science since Adam Smith. Had Marx heeded Menger, socialism would have been abandoned. Subjective value leads to individualism. It also explains so powerfully why people trade, and it demolishes theories of exploitation. Before subjective value, Marx could look at the work of Adam Smith, who thought value arose from the amount of labor one put into producing something, and see no productive role for anything but laborers, concluding that all the others must be parasites. There are parasites in our system, economics tells us, and we shall use our new understanding to ferret them out in the next chapter. Finally, when people trade, they are acting to remove felt unease in both directions. You may give up a smaller value for a larger, but never the other way around, voluntarily. If you're willing to let your brother work for you and pay him more than he's worth, you know what this means to you. He's worth extra because he's my brother. You've still gained a greater value. If values were not subjective, why would anyone trade? We would all value things equally and be content with what we had. Well, not entirely. We would also want more value. Onward then to the next powerful economic concept. I don't know if you have anything to add to that one.
No, I got nothing to add. Again, trying to explain Austrian economics, my friends who've taken like 2 economics courses, things to know everything.
Mm-hmm.
I was failing miserably. Read this, like, oh, I know how to like actually engage with him. With Mises, he's very smart, but you can't quote to people. You have to like translate it. This you can just quote to people.
Yes. All right, marginal utility. Suppose you, being a shepherd, had 10 sheep and a nice woolen coat you laboriously made from your 11th sheep. If someone came along and offered you a coat just like it for your 10th sheep, you'd tell them to buzz off. Along comes a rich shepherd and sees your coat. You tell him how you got it and even tell him how to make one. He can think of better things to do than to make a coat, but he'd like to have one. He'll trade you a sheep for a coat. No better off subjectively, you refuse. He offers you 2 and you know you'd be ahead. You can make another coat and have 11 sheep again. Meanwhile, the rich shepherd would rather have 98 sheep and a coat than 100 sheep and no coat. I don't know if you have anything to add to that one. That's kind of we're getting to like deep economic terms, but marginal utility, with this one, it's the idea that once you get more of it, it kind of reduces the value to some extent. So, that's why it's like, would you rather have 98 sheep in a coat or 100 sheep and no coat? It's like those last 2 sheep have less value. Individually they have the similar value, but subsequently they reduce the value to some extent. So, yeah. But this example so far is still one of subjective value. His final offer is 3 sheep. Joyfully you accept. As you are leaving, you run to another poor shepherd with 10 sheep and a coat. There seems to be a lot of this going on. He offers you coat for a sheep and is willing to accept 2 sheep. You're still ahead, 11 sheep and the coat, and you don't have to make it yourself. Such a deal. Using the wool coat as our medium exchange, we find out something interesting. Sheep are sheep as far as the example is concerned. Yet while you trade your 11 sheep for a coat and you would not have traded your 10th, you did trade both your 12th and 13th sheep for a coat. This principle where you value each additional unit less and less is called marginal utility. You are operating at the margin, and utility is an older word for value. So marginal value. That's a good way to put it. I feel like utility throws off some people, that word. All sheep and dollars are not alike. Marginal ones are cheaper. Besides giving us an idea which can handle more in economics and also help us to spot fraud such as tax redistribution, see next chapter. Marginal utility leads directly to the next concept, division of labor. I don't know if you have anything to add before we move on to the next section.
No, I'm good, man. It's basic economics being spelled out very. If it was complicated, we could break it down, but it's so already simplified. It's nothing to break down,
Yeah. All right. Division of labor. Subjective value may lead us to think we would prefer producing some goods rather than others, or transporting them, trading them, serving them, or storing them. Yet it's marginal utility which tells us why this specialization works. If I produce 10 cooked hamburgers an hour and you produce 12, and we happen to eat the same, it is obvious who has more surplus to trade and will be eager to do so. I should check out other lines of productivity or move to less desirable, at least to you, location where I can compete. This process we are led to specialize by greater productivity and greater reward. It is called division of labor. Von Mises speculated that it was the glue holding society together, and if you think of society as bigger than a nuclear or extended family, he is right. If Jane sings beautifully and we do not, division labor is why I'm writing this book. Eating your hamburgers and we're listening to Jane on the radio. I do like how he kind of tied into marginal utility and division of labor, where it's kind of the idea of like, you have reduced value for, like say I have chickens and like say I rely on those chickens to eat. So, I collect the meat, I collect the eggs. There comes a certain point where it's like I can no longer consume that much, so it's less value to me, and it's a more value to trade with someone. And, obviously then someone else might have a different thing that I want to trade for, and then you have division of labor. I don't know if you have anything to add to that one.
No.
Yeah, I know it's pretty basic. When we're just doing economics, things like, what do I have to add to this?
Yeah, when we get to the other stuff, I have things to add. When we get to the introduction, I have things to add, but it's gotta get through this chapter.
Yeah. All right, basics. With such basic ideas as those about trade, exchange, goods, and services that you hopefully already brought with you to this discussion, added onto the concepts of subjective value, marginal utility, and division of labor, you are properly armed for understanding agorism. There's far more to economics and still more being discovered and written about by the all too few right kind of economists. Before moving on, there's one economic specialty that deserves some extra attention. Since it is so much in everybody's minds, you probably guessed that it's money. Money is heavily mystified, and it's not hard to see why. A fool and his money are soon parted is a truism nearly as old as money itself. If you can be confused as to what money is or how it works, you can be parted from it by those who know what money is. Remember our sheep example? We called the wool coat a medium of exchange to show the different values of sheep. But if we had money, or if we had many wool coats and one sheep being traded back and forth, we could use the same example to show the marginal utility of the 11th coat, or whatever number happened to work, and use the sheep and the use of sheep as a medium of exchange. Straight trade of goods for goods, barter, is crude, and problems related to making change are difficult to solve. Sheep die and wool coats wear out, and they do not store value well. And since value is subjective, changes in your needs, tastes, and circumstances alter your values anyways. Nothing can store a change quantity, or as math majors would say, fix a variable. What we would like is something that makes change, stores its value, and is universally acceptable. Everyone wants it all the time. To be blunt, there is no such thing and never will be, though all bank directors, congressmen, and commissars may decree otherwise. Subjective value assures us of that. I like that, how he put it, that he's essentially like no money is ever going to be the perfect money, and that's kind of the issue we've run into with like things like Bitcoin, fiat, obviously, other modes of exchange, but just what's preferable given the current scenario. And with everything being subjective, it really is. Like if everything crumbled right now, like we could legitimately see a situation in which eggs become money. Like bring my eggs example. So
I'm reading what was it called? History of Money and Banking from Colonial America to World War II by Oswald.
Mhm.
And he's going over different colonies what they use for currency. Like Virginia used tobacco, different currency, different colonies, different places. And they had mediums of exchange between like 18 different colonies. 13 colonies. It's crazy to read about.
Yeah.
But
No, this is like this little one section about money. I know it sounds ridiculous when we break it down, and these are like very basic things, but I think people don't realize how few people actually really deeply think about these. Not even like deeply, just scratch the surface. Because like something like money, like it really is one of those things that once you realize what it is, it's ridiculously simple, but it's one of those things that most people, I'd say 95+% of people out there in the world, don't really understand what money is.
yeah.
Like they just don't understand that it's just a medium of exchange. Anything can be money. I mean, obviously there are better monies than others, but yeah, like I brought up eggs. Like eggs can be money. There's no reason why you can't use an egg as money. Yeah. But suppose some substance could be divided down to its atoms without changing. Be more resistant to wear and corrosion than almost anything else. Be easily recognized and easily checked as to purity. And be valued already by a lot of people for its usefulness and good looks. Suppose further that it did better than anything else offered in competition. Would not most people flock to it and make it money? No laws would need be passed or institutions founded or advertising campaigns conducted to make it so. Nature would take care of it. Second, third, and fourth choices might be used, but the first would be the standard by which the others were measured. This is kind of funny. He's getting at this is a big thing. I know. I think it might have been one of the essays of Spooner. He goes into like competing currencies, and that's one thing that people go into. That like if we just didn't have fiat or whatever, that like it would just be chaos. And it's like no, there would be a market of currencies, and something would naturally win out. And like I mean, it's really we're kind of seeing with crypto. I mean, there's all different types of cryptos, and people are essentially using them as money. And yeah, I mean, it will change from day to day, which may be better or worse as a money. And yeah, I mean, that's kind of what he's getting at. You don't need a government, but the government has convinced people that you need a government in order to have money.
Like
You don't.
download a crypto app and look at all the different cryptocurrencies and exchange rates between them all, and that's just free market money right there.
Yes.
Like it may be hard to understand, but after 5 minutes to look at the app, you'll get it. And like, why can't we have this physically?
Yeah, I wish. Yeah, no, it's funny too. Like that Spooner essay I was talking about. He literally, I remember reading. I want to say it's there's a work that I had that I think it was because he was I think he wrote for like newspapers and stuff, and he had different essays here and there, and that was where I got that from. He there was some essay in there where he was talking about competing currencies, and he literally was he obviously was not around for crypto, so he was talking about different precious metals. He was talking about silver, copper, gold, and I think some other things. And he was very much going into, you could literally swap out different types of cryptos and it would make sense to, the modern day.
Whatever has value. I mean, I can't remember what I saw some like apocalyptic, like I can't remember, like zombie or something. They traded books because like his book it's a bigger book, but the story sucks. So they had like value exchanges based on that. It was purely subjective because our books is subjective. So interesting.
Such a substance has been known for millennia. Gold and its close chemical relatives, platinum, silver, and copper, remain the choice of a free market. Even in an unfree market where money is imposed by force against the will of traders, that is, by fiat, gold remains the money of the underground economy and of the overseas economy working around the fiat money. Why fiat money exists at all and what it has to do with inflation is an important topic in our next chapter, which I did want to touch on real quick, that like we touch on crypto and gold. These are both boom. I mean, maybe not so, I don't know, booming be the correct word, but there are definitely existing markets even amongst fiat being a thing. So, even with, government, imposed fiat, gold and fucking crypto are both valid, things people use. I mean, we don't use them in normal exchange, but that's actually due to coercion, but people still use them even with that in mind. So, all right, cool. I don't know if you have anything to add, but we'll move into the next section. If not, value-free economics. So far, we've avoided loaded terms such as free market, competitive economy, free trade, fair trade, and so on. The Austrian economists Menger von Mises, Eugene von Bombawerk, that's a fun word, and their students believe economics should be a science free of such terms, a value-free, wertfrei, it's a German word, science. Science has values. Try to engage in research without a commitment to truth or an affinity for reality. Many people hold values that are impossible to achieve in reality and are frustrated. They hurt themselves. Many people seek to gain values by misinterpreting reality to others when they are challenged. They accuse the exposers of holding different, competing values. Thus, value-free scientists, including economists, find they cannot remain forever neutral in their ivory towers. To the extent, though, that they try by keeping their own subjective values the way they do accomplish much. The scientific method works. And being able to tell people that stealing from everyone and then giving it back to them will make them less well off is useful, no matter how unpopular. This is where the application of economics enters. And that's the end of chapter 1. That's probably a good spot.
Oh, yeah.
Cruise that
1 hour, chapter 1, and the introduction.
Yep. And I know that one, like especially second half, may be a little bit boring for some people, but it's going to set the foundations for the future chapters. So, and I mean, really, that's just basic economics, which, I mean,
if you want this kind of space, you should know basic economics by now.
Yeah. This is a great book for, like, I know we have things like was it Economics in One Lesson? Obviously, that's a superior than that like chapter, but if you want a quick, like, I know it's Economics in One Lesson. It's really it's Economics in One Lesson is not a long book, but it's still a book. Whereas that's like a chapter, and it basically covered damn near all of the basics of economics. So even if you just want to read that chapter 1 of an Agorist primer, and just to get a basic understanding of economics, there you go.
Yeah.
So
pretty much, I agree.
Yeah.
Okay then. I got nothing to add. I'm looking forward to going through the rest of it.
Yeah. Maybe we can hit like 2 chapters an episode or something like that.
Something like that.
Knock it out in like 5 episodes. So that'd be good.
Yeah, I'm looking at people who are going through like these big books on like live readings, like Pico's doing like Ted Kaczynski Unabomber one. I mean, that's pretty big.
Is it? This one I've been wanting to read. Like, I've been listening to it, and I'm like, just listening to them read it. I'm like, I'm not gonna lie, like, I wanted to get into that book eventually, and I'm like, listen, I'm like, dude, he's got some deep shit to say. Like Ted Kaczynski, like, man, he should have like mailed to some different places or held off on mail because we needed more from him. He should be writing in jail. Like, what the fuck is going on? So.
Well, you can write him letters, and he is allowed to respond, and so he responds often, apparently. And so
do you really want letters from Ted Kaczynski though? That's a dangerous game.
Oh, I want to get it. I want him to sign it, put it in my book, my copy of my book.
Yeah. I mean, it would be an honor to receive a bomb from Ted Kaczynski.
It'd be like that dude had mail-in voting nailed.
Yeah.
But
I'm looking forward to this. This will be good. I'm definitely looking forward to this one. So yeah,
sounds good. Okay then. Jose, you're saying, but where can people find you at?
Oh, I'm the No Way Jose show is what I have. I'm on YouTube on all the major audio podcatchers. I'm on Odyssey as well. Definitely go to Odyssey. Reed Coverdale just got a strike on his channel today for questioning the religious ritual that occurs every 4 years. And I literally just yesterday did a episode on said religious ritual and how they tried to fortify it, and also that fateful day where they I don't know, they desecrated the cathedral of democracy. And so just my days may be numbered. I don't have as big of a platform as Reed had, so maybe I'm kind of like cruising under the radar. But there's still that's still a thing, and that.
Yeah.
I know there was like months ago, they were really being crazy about that, but it's still a thing that's still happening. You're still getting dinged for shit for that. So big time, go to Odyssey. Me, Reed, all the people. And then like also on top of that, if you want to support me to be able to because I don't make a ton of money off YouTube, but I make some money because I'm monetized now. So, if I get dinged off of Michael, Odyssey is, well, I guess to some extent they're kind of censoring, but with a reasonable, because any platform is going to censor. But I don't know, like crazy stuff like porn and stuff. But no, I'm talking about that he got hit on YouTube. So, but yeah. Anyways, but my point being is, if I get dinged, if I ever get my YouTube pulled off, it'll be a little bit of a ding for me for money wise. So I definitely would ask for people to support me. Monetarily if they can on my Patreon at patreon.com/nowayjose2020. I do give a little bit of perks because usually my method is how I go about doing my show is I'll do live streams, and then I will then immediately put it on unlisted status. So it's and then I'll release them later as numbered episodes, however I feel fit, because I can edit it if need be. And so you'll still have access to the episode even in that in-between time. And also I give out my patrons a code to be able to chat to me during the live chats, and I will bring it up. You don't have to super chat or anything. You get preference over everybody because you're a supporter. Maybe once I get more, I might start getting different tiers. Maybe like people that high up I can do episodes with or something like that. But as of right now, I have a pretty small patron, so it's just that's my case right now. But yeah, I'm on Twitter as well at Galison Jose, or you can type in Jose Galison, you'll find me. Yeah, I really appreciate you having me on my channel. But no, I definitely enjoyed doing this, and I think I'll enjoy it more as we get more into it, because this one was very much setting the groundwork, to then work off of. So we should have more to conversate off of later.
Well, guys, another episode. This has been a first episode of Faith, Liberty, and Praxis. Thank you, Rob, for the name. I texted my friend Rob, like, I need a name for my podcast. Catholic Libertarians too, just descriptive. And he's like, just Faith, Liberty, and Praxis. I'm like, in 5 minutes, he came up with a way better fucking name. So thank you, Rob. Okay, guys.
Should go Browntown or something,
I still calling it the Brown Scale because that's what Nazis had brown uniforms. So calling it like the Brown Scale, but I'm trying to fly under the radar a little bit,
Hey, Michael, yeah, it's No Way Jose on Odyssey as well. Yeah, I don't, but yeah, so sorry.
There we go. Well, another episode. Follow me on Twitter at CalebBrown549 and subscribe to the show. This episode will be uploaded to my channel probably about a week, maybe. I'm not sure when I'm gonna put it out, but yeah. Go ahead and wrap it up, Jose.
All right, end it.